Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to my fantasy matchup series, and we got a bit of an interesting one today. So, Anthony Joshua versus Nikolai Valuev. So, I don't know why I really thought about this fight. I think it's because I watched the Evander Holyfield and Nikolai Valuev fight the other day, and I guess it kind of got me thinking, like, how Anthony Joshua would do against Nikolai Valuev. So, yeah, interesting matchup. Not very stylistically, but more in terms of the fact that Anthony Joshua has never really faced anyone as big or as tall as Nikolai Valuev. I mean, most fighters haven't, right? Most heavyweight boxers haven't faced anyone as big as Valuev, but I mean, still, like with Anthony Joshua, I don't know. I just think it would be interesting because Anthony Joshua, I'd say he mostly fights opponents who are shorter than him, right? I mean, he fights guys like Andy Ruiz Jr., who's like 6'2", Dylan White, who's like 6'4", um, Alexander Usyk most recently, and he's not really fought anyone who's taller than him. I mean, he has in the past against guys like Dominic Brazil, who was like 6'8" tall. He also fought Gary Cornish, who was 6'8", 6'8" tall as well. And I guess he fought Vladimir Klitschko, who was like, I guess he was like an inch taller than Anthony Joshua. He was like 6'7" or 6'6". Like he was somewhere around that height range, excuse me. But obviously, he's never faced anyone as tall as Nikolai Valuev, right? I mean, you know, like I said, Nikolai Valuev was he was a massive dude. He weighed 300 pounds, and I think he was considered to be the biggest and tallest heavyweight champion in the history of the sport, right? So yeah. In terms of this fight, so Anthony Joshua and Valuev, how would AJ do against the Russian giant? Well, it really depends. I think the outcome of this fight really depends on sort of the way that Anthony Joshua would approach this fight. The way like it would depend on how Anthony Joshua decides to fight Valuev, and I could see him fighting two ways. One, he outboxes Nikolai Valuev and sort of plays it safe, or two, he headhunts and pressures Nikolai Valuev and goes to war with him. So I'll start off with the first scenario, which is Anthony Joshua outboxes Nikolai Valuev. So I think, you know, Anthony Joshua is a lot more skilled than Nikolai Valuev, right? Because Valuev is, he was known for not being that skillful, right? I mean, he was known for being a very basic boxer who relied on his height and size and even his power, I guess, to get him wins. And, you know, with Anthony Joshua, we've seen that Anthony Joshua is a lot more skillful than Nikolai Valuev and a lot more talented as well, right? So, if Anthony Joshua were to try and outbox Valuev, I think he could do it, and I think he could just basically school him for 12 rounds, in all honesty. And, I think it would be very similar to the Andy Ruiz Jr. fight, the second one. You know what I mean? I don't think it would be that entertaining of a fight. I think it would be AJ looking to fight on the back foot a lot of the time and, have his moments of just bursting in with this, like 1-2 combination. I don't think he would clinch Valuev like he did against Ruiz because against Valuev you don't really want to do that, you know what I mean? But against Ruiz, obviously Joshua did it against Ruiz because Joshua was stronger than Ruiz. He was, he was taller, all that. Um, but yeah, aside from that, I don't really see it being a competitive fight if AJ were to approach it that way. I think it would be very lopsided in Joshua's favor. Um, you know what I mean? And I don't know. I could see Valuev maybe catching AJ coming in with like an uppercut or something that could maybe not wobble him or stun him, but just catch him for like a second. But aside from that, I don't think Valuev hits hard enough to rock Anthony Joshua like Ruiz did in the first fight. And, I know it sounds weird me saying that the Joshua and Valuev fight would be very similar to the Ruiz and Joshua fight, but because of the fact that Ruiz is a lot shorter than Nikolai Valuev, right? But what I mean by that is that Nikolai Valuev and Ruiz's footwork are very similar, right? As in they kind of, they're a bit sloppy, they're kind of sluggish with their footwork, and they try to walk their opponents down, but sometimes they don't have that much success, right? Um, but in terms of that, I guess they are a bit different. I'd say Ruiz is a bit more talented because, Ruiz isn't known for being that great of a boxer either, but he's got fast hands, obviously, and, he's got power, right? And I'd say he maybe slightly hits harder than Nikolai Valiev. So, yeah, I don't know. If Joshua were to fight that way, I don't think Valiev would really do anything that would be a threat to AJ in that aspect. And I think, like I said, it would be a very boring fight, probably. I think AJ would just, he'd just kind of fight on the back foot, just, do a lot of running and all that stuff. I mean, you guys know that I'm not a fan of that style, really. There's nothing like, you can fight your opponent on the back foot, obviously, right? I mean, Triple G does it in a couple of his fights. Manny Pacquiao did it in a couple of his fights, so you can fight dominant on the back foot, right? But I mean, if you're just looking to score points and just, not put any intensity behind your punches and just look to go to the decision and win that way, I'm not a fan of that. I didn't like it when Fury did it against Deontay Wilder the first time. I didn't like how Joshua did it in the rematch, and it's just that style is just personally not my cup of tea. But if Joshua were to fight like that against Nikolai Valiev, then I definitely could see him beating Nikolai Valiev by unanimous decision. All right, so on to the second way Anthony Joshua approaches this fight, which is being more aggressive and, headhunting Nikolai Valiev and just, basically just pressuring Nikolai Valiev with combinations and all that stuff. So in that case, I think it would definitely be more entertaining. And, I'd still say Joshua wins that way. I don't know if he would knock Nikolai Valiev out, because the thing is, obviously Valiev, despite his lack of good boxing ability, he does have a good chin, right? He's got a great chin, right? I mean, he's never really been rocked except by David Haye, but aside from that, he's never been dropped or knocked out, it's pretty crazy when you think about it. But I mean, at the same time, I guess it's not really, because Valiev didn't really fight any high level fighters aside from, an out of prime Holyfield, Haye, and Ruslan Chagaev. The Holyfield fight, I thought it was a clear robbery. I thought Holyfield clearly won that fight. I gave Valiev one round at most. I don't know why they gave it to Valiev. It was very bizarre, but the point is that Valiev, he's only fought like a handful of high level to mid level opposition. And but still, I mean, despite that, he's still shown that he's got a good chin, right? So I don't know if Anthony Joshua would have knocked Valiev out, because, like I said, he's never really been hurt before except by David Haye. I'll say he will. I'll say AJ maybe will knock or could knock Valiev out because of the fact that, David Haye was able to catch Valiev with a left hook on the chin. And I don't think, in terms of the left hook punch, I think Joshua hits harder than David Haye. Maybe not in terms of the overhand right. David Haye probably hits harder with that punch. But in terms of the left hook, I think Joshua hits harder with that punch. Also, looking at the Haye fight, looking at the last round where he rocked Nikolai Valiev, that punch was more of a slapping punch looking back at it, because you look at that punch, it kind of landed on the wrist area of the glove, right? And, you get almost no power when you throw that kind of punch, right? And the fact that Valiev got rocked with something like that makes me think that, Anthony Joshua would have at least rocked or even dropped Nikolai Valiev. But the fact that Anthony Joshua is also a good inside fighter, and, that would very much go against Nikolai Valuev. I think Anthony Joshua would have won by knockout, in all honesty. Um, if he were to fight that way. So yeah, point is, no matter where this fight goes, I see Anthony Joshua winning. In terms of how I think Anthony Joshua would approach this fight, it depends because, you know, Joshua, he's too unpredictable, right? Because in the Alexander Usyk fight, I thought he was going to come out with that more aggressive style and try to, sort of make Usyk feel uncomfortable, pressure him, headhunt him, not give Usyk room to think. But he ended up trying to outbox Usyk, which was the wrong game plan going into the fight, right? Um, so he's unpredictable. You never know how he's going to fight. In terms of Nikolai, considering it's Nikolai Valuev though, I will say that Joshua would have probably approached the fight with that sort of pressure, constant pressure sort of style because he did it against guys who were, either his height or taller than him, like Brazil, Klitschko, and Cornish. So that being said, I think Joshua would have fought that way. And yeah, my final prediction is Anthony Joshua by knockout in rounds 9 to 12. I think he could get like a knockout in those rounds. It'd be tough because Valuev has a good chin, but I think if he constantly pressured Nikolai Valuev, sort of like how he did against Dominic Brazil, then yeah, I think he would have got a knockout in the late rounds. So yeah, interesting matchup for sure. Um, yeah, I don't know. I guess the Vander Holyfield fight just sort of got that idea of AJ fighting Valuev in my head. So yeah, but yeah. Anyway, that's gonna do it for this video. Let me know what you guys think. Give me a prediction on who you think would win this fight in the comments below. I'd like to hear it, and let me know what other fantasy matchup fights or videos you guys would like to see because I'd like to do them. So yeah, that being said, I'm out. Take care and peace.